Hi again then guys, and so we've got another special projects custom build for you today. Now this one's kind of a mix between a custom and a bit of a replica. It's not a spot-on replica to the real car, but it's kind of inspired by it and modified to make it as competitive as possible in the game. Now this is inspired by the Richard Petty style Plymouth Roadrunner NASCAR, the classic NASCAR that was hugely successful. It's a very iconic car. So I've built this car to take on the modern NASCARs of Gran Turismo on tracks such as Daytona and the Indy Oval. So, as usual, I'll first show you what I've done to get the visual look of the car, then we'll go over to the garage for the mechanical side of things, and finally out to the track. Now, this particular model does not have modifiable bodywork, and that's because it's not a premium car. It's kind of a semi-premium, because visually it does look pretty good, better than many of the other non-premium cars, but at the same time it does not have a fully detailed interior and it doesn't have modifiable bodywork. But as far as the rims on this particular model, we've gone for the largest size of rim, and the particular model is these Polyphony Digital P525N rims, which look kind of like steel wheels. Obviously you can't fit any additional meters because it's not a premium model. As far as the colour, try to get a similar kind of colour to the classic NASCAR. So the colour that we've gone for is French blue. There are a number of quite light, paler shades of blue that you can get on the game, but I've gone for French blue. To be honest, I can't remember what that car comes from. I'm sure there are some of you guys who can remember, but at the moment I can't recall what car that actually comes from. As you can see, the rims are also the same colour, just like the real car. And for the brakes, we've just gone simple and painted those Phantom Black, which is again from the Chaparral Vision GT car. And the reason why I've painted them black is just so that the attention is on the body and the wheels rather than looking at the brakes. Because at the end of the day, you don't really notice the brakes on a racing car, it's the rims and the body which most people look at. So, fairly simple visual setup on this one. Unfortunately, you can't put a racing number on it, which is kind of a shame, but it's just the way it is. So now let's go over to the mechanical garage to see what we've done mechanically. So, as I mentioned in the outset of the video, this isn't so much a replica, more it's inspired by the classic NASCAR rather than designed to be a replica of it. And basically I wanted this car to be a good rival and a challenging competitor for the modern NASCARs on Gran Turismo, because let's face it, most of us find those cars boring. This car is not boring, and I was hoping that I could make it as competitive as the modern NASCARs, and as it turns out, it is as competitive as those cars. Now, as you can see, we've not gone for a specific PP with this car, we've just gone basically fully tuned, because at the end of the day, the modern NASCARs are running close to 900 horsepower. They do weigh more than this model, so that does give you a bit of an advantage in this car, but the modern NASCARs also have a higher PP, and as we already said, more power, so they kind of break even between the two as rivals. So you want your racing soft rims, obviously. For suspension, we've got the ride height as low as possible. Springs we've increased quite a lot to 12 front and rear. Dampers to 4. Anti-roll as high as possible on 7. Neutral camber, because obviously it's an oval car and you don't want the steering to be heavy. Neutral toe, as usual. For the gearbox, we've got an auto setting of 249. Then for the gears, we've gone for 2680, 1800, 1200, 850 and 600 with a final drive of 2.9. For the diff, we've gone for the highest initial torque, because who cares about wheel spin in NASCAR, high acceleration and low braking. For the power, that's easy, we've just gone for everything, and remember to give it an oil change if you do plan on replicating this. Obviously you want the full weight loss package, but then we've added a 114 kilo ballast, and then we've put that all the way to the back to bring the weight distribution to a perfect 50-50 on this particular model. And interestingly, this is actually a 50-50 with a slight bias more towards the front. So technically, it's kind of like a 50.5 to 49.5 split, rather than a pure 50-50. So that's it for the mechanical setup of things. So now let's take it out to the track and see how it performs. I don't do much NASCAR racing on Gran Turismo, but I have done it a few times. I know the kind of lap times that you can expect from the modern NASCARs, and I have to say I do prefer classic NASCARs to the modern ones. At least the classic ones had a bit more variation and a bit more flair. Now, I wanted to see how competitive this car was in the real world, so I put it up against the lap time of a 2011 Chevy NASCAR. Now, the Chevy ran a standing start 53.2 second lap, and this lap that you see here, which was also a standing start, and as you can see is without NOS or anything like that, ran in 50 seconds. And that's from a car which is significantly older, has less power, is a lower PP, and it's still 3 seconds quicker on such a small track. So it is a truly competitive tune, even against the modern NASCARs. Now, a regular lap, or a lap where you're going across the line at speed, such as this one that you can see now, this car can run around a 42.2 second lap. And I'm not the best of NASCAR drivers, so I'm sure with the right driver you could get even quicker. So it's a pretty competitive tune, considering that it is a road car, and it really feels good as a NASCAR. It actually feels better as a NASCAR than for any other form of racing, I would say. So I hope you guys find this tune setup helpful and enjoyable. I'd appreciate feedback on how competitive you find it if you do choose to use it. And that's it for this build, so I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.